All right, so we're looking at solving equations for some unknown today. This should be kind of a review, just a reminder of how to solve for, in this case, just x, but it's for any unknown, it works for that. And so just a quick reminder, if I look at all these different equations that I have here, when I'm talking about solving, I really just want to know what is this, what does this x or this variable have to be to make both sides be the same? When you guys have solved, when you guys have learned how to do this in intermediate school and middle school, it's kind of like a shortcut, honestly. So we're just, instead of sitting here and having to guess and check, which this first one would be really easy to guess and check, but everything else, I mean, some of these would be kind of hard to sit there and guess and check because you might get decimals, you just might. I mean, it could be about anything. It could be a rational number. It could be a real number. Any of that kind of stuff. So the irrational. Anyway, so really what we're trying to do when we're trying to solve, we're trying to work backwards from our orders of operation. So well, the first thing we do is we get any like terms together. And then once we get any like terms together, and what we consider to be like terms is anything with a variable, anything without a variable. And then once we've done that, we can kind of work backwards. We take care of any addition or subtraction, and we take care of multiplication and division, and then we take care of the groupings, which is backwards of what we usually generally do most of the time. Okay, there's a couple of rule makers for that. So just a quick reminder of how to do this. So if I look at this top left one here, I've got 3x, 3 times what? Remember when they're touching here, it's 3 times what equals 21, and we all know that's 7. But again, if you didn't know that, how would we actually solve that? We'd take this and divide by 3 because we do the opposite of it to get rid of it on this side because this cancels it out and makes it 1x. Okay, so this is 1x, and then we're going to divide this other side by 3 because it balances it out, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now we usually don't write 1x equals 7. We usually just go x equals 7. Okay, so that one should be nice and pretty simple there. You could have guessed that one. This top right one, again, I'm trying to figure out what x is, so I'm going to get everything away from that. I've got this -4 that's timesing to it, and this added 2. So I'm going to get rid of the 2 first. So to do that, I'm going to do the opposite operation, because to get rid of addition is subtraction. Okay, that cancels that out and makes it 0. We just don't need to write it. So I am left with -4x on the left side, and then on the right side I'm left with 20. And then I'm going to take care of this -4 that is timesing to my variable. So to do that, I'm going to divide by -4, and I am going to leave the negative with it because I don't want the negative on the other side. And that'll cancel that out, and it doesn't really cancel out, it just becomes 1, right? But it's 1x, and then equals whatever 20 divided by -4 is, which that's -5, and that'll be your solution from there. Okay, so again, we're gonna take care of, we're gonna get any like terms together, then we're gonna, like say, add or subtract, then multiply or divide is kind of the key here. Okay, all right, this bottom left one, if you guys see this one we have to get like terms together because I've got multiple variables, so I need to get those together, and I need the numbers without no variables together. So just gonna move one of the x's to the other side. So I'm just going to move this 5x by adding 5x, because then that'll give me 0x on this side. Then I'm going to add 5x over here, and then I'll be left with -1 equals 13x minus 14 here. Okay, then I need to move my number over to the other number and get it with its like term here. So I'm going to add the 14. Again, that gives me 0 here with just the 13x. And then I've got 13 here. And now I can go and finish this off. So the only thing I have with my x is the 13, so I'm just going to divide by 13, which that'll give me 1x here. And that'll give me 1 here. So I'll be left with 1 equals x at that point in time. Okay, some more variety with this one. This one we've got multiple x values, so we need to get them together. But before I can do that, I've got this grouping here, this parentheses here. So I actually have to distribute this 2 to start with for this to start. At least I think it's a little simpler, avoids any fractions or anything. You could divide by 2 and then move that x over, but we're just gonna times this 2 through, which will give me 2x plus 6. And then I just copy that other side down. Here now I'm gonna get everything together. I'm gonna move the -7. I always like to try to make things positive when I can, because I'm just a positive person. Plus I'm gonna add the 7x over, and so I've got I'm gonna be left with 9x here plus 6, and then equals just the 8 over here. Then I'll minus this 6, and I'll be left with, I'm going to work right to the side here, this 9x here, and then I'll be left with 2. Okay, 8 minus 6 is 2, and then I'm going to divide by 9, and I'll be left with 1x equals 2 over 9. And I can just leave it like that, and that's fine. You don't have to put it as a decimal or anything like that. I just leave it as a fraction, okay? Don't be scared of fractions. They're your friends. All right, I'm looking at a couple other things with fractions here when you're trying to solve. So I've got this 4 equals 4x, or 4 over 5x. So how do we take care of these fractions? Well, there's a couple different ways. Remember, this is just timesing by 4 and dividing by 5. So to do the opposite of that, I could do the reciprocal, or I can do them separately. I can do one at a time if I want to. In that case, like I could times by 5 to start with, like that would be fine, because 4/5 times 5 is just 4, so that would just leave me with 4x here. Now I do have to times this by 5, because what I do to one side I have to do the other, and then I'm going to divide by 4, because that's what I'm left with, and I'm left with just x equals 5. Okay, so that's generally how I take care of it. Take care of your denominator by timesing it, and then you'll be left with no fraction anymore. That comes in handy with this one on the right here, because I've got this 8x minus 2 all divided by 9. So I would try to take care of my denominator and my fraction first. So I don't have any fraction anymore, so I'm going to times this by 9. I have to do that to the other side too. What that does is leaves this 9 divided by 9 is 1. Which then I just have 1 times 8x minus 2, and I don't have to put my 1 times, because 1 times anything is just itself. And then we've got equals 254 here. And then I've just got an equation just like what I had on these first ones, like what I had in this upper right hand corner here, okay? So I've got this times by 8 and subtract by 2, so I'm going to take care of the subtraction first by adding 2. So we'll have 8x equals 56, and then I'm going to divide by 8, and that'll give you x equals 7, which is sweet. Okay, so whenever you see these fractions, I just usually times by the denominator to start with. It's a grouping, so I try to take care of that first, because then it makes it a lot nicer. Last one here. So again, I've got a fraction, I've got a combined terms. Again, I'm going to take care of that fraction first. So I've got this 2 in the denominator. That's what I want to times by. So I'm going to times both these by 2. This is the part you need to be careful with on the right side. Remember, this is really timesing 2 to both things. So we have to distribute this through to both. So I'm left with 18 minus 8x, because I times the 8 times 2 and the 4x times 2. And then here I've got 2 divided by 2, which will give me 1. And then I just have the 3x plus 9 from that. And then I've got one just like I had down here in the bottom left as well on the front page. Okay, so I'm going to get my terms together. Again, I like to keep things positive here, so I'm going to add the 8x. I have to add it to the 3x, which will give me 11x. And then I'm just going to copy everything down. Plus 9 equals 18. And then I can subtract this 9, which is going to give me 9. And then the last thing I'm going to do is divide by 11. And that'll give me 1x equals 9 over 11. We're going to leave it like that. So Okay, so that's your solving video. Y adios.